All right, so now looking at, again, W3 Schools, we can use this as a resource for setting things like our font size, our font styles, and a number of different things that we can do there. What we're going to look at is setting this font size. So here we can set it as pixels. We can use things like large. We can set a percentage. There's a lot of types of values that we can use. And if you come down here, when you scroll down, you can see a lot of the different property values that we can use. So here, what I'm going to do is use an EM value. Let me get back to my page. And if I want to change this H1 element to be a little bit larger, so H1, you can set that. Say, I'm going to set the font size 25 pixels. But when you're setting that in a pixel value, then you're going to run into some issues with different screen sizes, because it's going to make that font that pixel size, and maybe on a smaller screen you don't want it to be that many pixels. So that's something you have to think about, and that's why we're going to do something different. So now that's 25 pixels, so it's smaller than what it was. I'm going to set it to 50, and we'll refresh this. Now it's really large, and even when I shrink my page, it's still just as large. So maybe I want it to be able to shrink down depending on the screen size. So instead, I like to use the EM value. And what the EM is 1 EM is the size of the capital letter M that it would be normally at that point. And I believe for the browser defaults, it's typically about 16 pixels. But it's basing this off of the capital M. So 1 EM is the normal size that it would be. Based on that default font size. So here, an H1 is already larger than that. So if I go with something like 5 EMs, and then refresh my page, that's going to be pretty big. And then when we get into our mobile styling and setting our viewport, some more things will change when we're using EM or percent values. So here at the top of my CSS document, I said that a lot of times the default font size is going to be 16 pixels. So maybe on my HTML element, so for my entire document, I want to reset that default to use maybe 12 pixels instead, and then base the rest of this off of that. That way I have this base to work off of. So now when I save this and I refresh this, I can see that shrink because I reset that default. And here I have this set to 5 EMs. I'm going to set it to, well, I'll keep it at 5 EMs. Now that is inside of a header element. So I'm going to change the font size inside of this header element to 2 EMs. So now this H1 should be basing this off of this header element that it's inside of. So this 2 EMs would be about 24 pixels. So then that's going to be that times 5, so over 100 pixels. Now we can see that's huge. Where if I take this off, I'm actually going to just comment this out. Save this, refresh my page, and because I don't have this set to 2 EMs anymore, then this 5 EMs is just keeping it here, where I was basically doubling that font in size by setting this to 2 EMs. So now I'm going to remove this just to get rid of that style because that text is very large. And now we have something like this, and that works. It does what I need it to. I could set these to percentages or points, like 0.5, 0.6, less than 1. That way I can get whatever sizes I need to. There are a lot of things that I do that I like to have or be able to put a class on something. So I have a style that's small. That's the name of the class. And then inside of that, I have whatever I give that to, I want it to be 0.8 EMs. So it's just a little bit smaller. And depending on what it is you need will depend on how you set that up.